No.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go live on YouTube, guys. So just so you're aware. Just a reminder for those joining us, you guys are live, being broadcast live.
Yeah. She would. Yeah, she would. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have to look at it on her screen. That's just screens.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
It's 1:30, but we're still waiting on the city manager, so just
Okay.
a few more minutes, see if they check in.
Hey, just another reminder that you are being broadcast live this time.
Thank you. wonder who the 27539 is.
City number.
Yeah, yeah. That could be anybody, I should have brought my phone for the text. Oh, there's Emily. Because city manager. Oh, that's,
Okay.
So I see Emily's there. Emily, can you hear us?
Hi, I can. How's everyone?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. We're waiting for Kim. I was just on the phone with him, so he'll be joining us momentarily.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thanks, Deb.
Oh, I forgot my glasses. Yeah,
I've got hard hats too. If you'd like to take those down, we'll do it. Go back to
I think.
we'll drop down there too.
I think they use intermix anymore, man.
Just trying to get it all
Yeah.
spit back out. We're trying to get everything in.
All righty. Can you all hear me?
we can?
Yep.
Like we have everybody.
Good. Some of you I have not met. I'm Kim Hawes. I'm the new city manager in Morgantown, and I've spent a little time at MUB and other locations of our employees who are on our pension plan, and I'm just thrilled to be here and to be of service. So maybe you can kind of identify yourselves and who you work for and kind of how long you've been associated with MUB. Could we do that?
Sure. My name's Beverly Robertson. I'm
You and I
the,
have met, right?
I'm the secretary for the pension board.
Right.
I'm also the secretary for the general manager at the utility board.
Right.
So that's where you've seen me before, but as a secretary, I'm a non-voting member of the board. I'm just a member of the fund, but not a voting member of the board.
Great. Thank you.
My name's
Well-
Tim Jones. I'm shop foreman. Been here 15 years.
You've been with MUB for 15 years. How long are you on the board?
I'm on the retirement board. I'm
How long have you been on the board?
4 years.
Great. Very good. Nice to meet you.
I'm Charlie Nestor, work for the Morgantown Utility Board. I'm the chief operator at the wastewater treatment plant. Been up for about 37 years. I've been on and off this board for the last 20 years now.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, 25, 20.
Great.
I'm Tyler Sickles. I'm a water treatment operator at the plant. I've been here for 20 years.
Great. Good. Nice to meet you, Tyler.
Nice to meet you.
Kim, welcome to Morgantown. I'm Jeff Ray. I'm general counsel for MUB. I've been here closing in on just 2 years.
Oh, okay. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now you are a voting member of the board also?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, and I'm Mark Cutter. I'm with CS McKee. Just been on board 1 year with CS McKee, been in the industry for 30 years.
Great.
Yeah, I'm Bob McGee. I'm also with CS McKee, equity portfolio manager, and I've been at CS McKee for 20 years.
Wow. Good. A lot of history there then.
All right.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'm Chris Dell, I'm Director of Communications for Morgan County Utility Board. Been here about 8 years. I'm not a voting member of this board. In fact, my purpose is I just arranged a call for you guys to get you guys together.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think
Anyone
that's
else?
everyone. I think that's everyone.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to our January board meeting. Just a moment, let me bring up my Are you going to show the agenda on the screen, or how do you do that?
I usually email the agenda and whatever packets are in, whatever else is included in the packet a few days ahead of time to all the board members. So no, I usually don't have anything to put on the screen.
Okay, let me find my. I will call to order the pension board for January 21st to order. Let's first address the minutes for our November meeting. Discussion about the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to see the minutes? And
Yes.
Any questions about it? I would entertain a motion that we approve the minutes for the November meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
First and second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. All right. Let me, for some reason, I've lost my agenda. I have everything else on it.
Okay, I have the agenda here. I can tell you what's next. The next item on the agenda is for to talk to our CSM advisors and see how we're doing.
Let's have a report on that then. Yeah, that's great.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having us today. And again, my name is Mark Cutter, and then we have Bob McGee, who's our senior portfolio manager. So we certainly appreciate you having us. We're going to take the next 10 to 15 minutes and just walk through a couple different items. Going to do just a real quick overview of what we saw last year, taking a tour down several stops of the United States. Take a look at our portfolio or your portfolio in whole, and then sort of break it apart between the fixed income and the equity portions. As we're going through this, if you have any questions, please stop us. We'll do the best we can to answer you. If we don't have a good answer, we'll get back to you on that. So, okay. So with that, I always say like to make 4 stops across our country. We're going to stop at Wall Street, Main Street, Pennsylvania Avenue, and 420 Fort Duquesne Boulevard, which is CS McKee headquarters. And, you know, we like to sort of give a little bit of a overview of what has happened this past year. And we'll start at Wall Street. You know, by any measure, 2020 was an extreme year in the financial markets. It was just a combination of the election, COVID-19, a lot of things going on. And to give some framework, back in March, in the March lows of the stock market, the S&P 500 index was down more than 30% from the beginning of the year, but it actually ended up by more than 18%. It's the first year in its 63-year history that we ever saw a market drop more than 30% during the year, but then end up in the positive at the end of the year. So, you know, just, again, extreme. We saw the index in the last 2 months of the year, November, December, it went up by more than 15%. First time that ever happened. It's the greatest increase over the final 2 months of the year that we've experienced in the S&P 500 market. You know, when we look at the 10-year Treasury bonds, the 10-year started off around 1.8%. We saw that drop in, you know, nearly drop in half at 0.9% by year end. and we saw August lows of 51 basis points, just a little bit of more than 0.5% for the 10-year Treasury. What's really interesting about that, coming into the year, the expectation that was that rates were going to rise. So again, extremes in the marketplace. And then finally, as we moved to the end of the year, we saw the 10-year rates, or we saw the yield curve steepening with the fears of it, or the expectation of inflation. So that would be our stop on Wall Street. We're looking at Main Street. The big issue, right? The COVID-19, and the first report for COVID-19 was January 21st, 2020. So 1 year ago today was the first report in the United States for a COVID-19 case. The 29th of January was the first reported death. Fast forward, you get to the end of the year, 345,000 deaths, over 20 million cases, and we continue to see that number rise. So on Main Street, that's been the driving force. Unemployment, 3.5% starting the year, near historical lows. It went all the way up to almost 15% in April, finished just around 6.7% year end. So just a lot of movement. And, the percentage of people unemployed for more than 6 months started the year at 4%. So anybody unemployed for more than 6 months, 4% at the beginning of the year, 37% now. So extreme changes. And then finally, on Main Street, looking forward, the expectation is, or the consensus forecast is, that the economy is going to grow by about 3.9% in 2021. But there's a whole lot of range there. We have estimates as low as 1.8%, as high as almost 8%. So where's the economy going to end up in 2021? Certainly a large part's going to be by what happens with the handling of the COVID-19 cases. So that's Main Street. As we go to Pennsylvania Avenue, we had the inauguration yesterday. We saw, the Democrats now have control of the Senate, the House, and the presidency. How's that impact the market? Historically speaking, doesn't have a huge impact. Over the last 45 years, the S&P 500 index, when it's completely controlled by the Democrats, averages right around 12.89%. Controlled by the Republicans, 12.95%. When there's a split house, it actually is probably the best benefit to the market, averages around 13.64%. So from that perspective, it seems pretty neutral. And then finally, we saw a round of stimulus back in December, second round, right? I think it was $900 billion. Expectation is for another round of stimulus coming out here early on, along with infrastructure legislation. So if we get infrastructure, if we get that third round of stimulus, we expect that to be certainly a tailwind to the economy, a tailwind to the markets, but it's going to have a downside effect on the bond market as it puts in inflationary pressures. Finally, we don't expect tax reform. While we expect it under this administration, we don't expect it until about 2022. I think there's a whole lot more they're going to be taking care of on the front end. So that takes us to Pennsylvania Avenue. Where does that put us at 420 Fort Duquesne Boulevard, which is, again, the CS McKee headquarters? Our expectation is going to be a K-shaped recovery. There's going to be winners and losers, both with individuals and businesses, right? And we're seeing that play out right now in the economy. From a standpoint of fixed income portfolios, right now we're reducing our exposure to the more risky fixed income assets as they become more expensive. And within the stock market, we're looking toward the COVID-19 stocks, which are the value stocks, versus the growth stocks that have benefited during the crisis. So we're seeing some changes. Bob's going to talk a lot about the equity markets, but I just wanted to touch on, some of the elements that we're seeing in the marketplace.
Thank you.
Any questions or thoughts on that?
Any thoughts on this report?
So
I'll get, and this may come up in Bob's discussion, just a couple questions. As you look back, are there any adjustments that you intend to make with our portfolio that to adjust for some of the uncertainty that's there?
Yeah, I think Bob will certainly address that on the stock portion, and even on the fixed income side. We'll talk about some of the tweaking to the portfolio to take into account what's happening in the marketplace.
Okay.
So we'll both address that to a degree here. Now, if we move forward, if you take page 1 of your report, the City of Morgantown Employees Retirement Fund, and you're going to have the portfolio summary in front of you. And up at the top, being that you're on a fiscal year ending 6/30, we have the quarter to date and we have the year to date portfolio numbers. You can see quarter to date would be 9/30 through 12/31/2020. Portfolio started off just north of $60 million, ended the year at $65,558,000. The return, if you go below that, if you go down to the bottom, the total portfolio return during the fourth quarter or during this past quarter was 8.15% versus the blended index of 6.28%. So we had a strong quarter of performance for your portfolio. Year to date, which was 6/30/2020 through 12/31/2020. So it's been the last 6 months. You can see that the return has been right around, and you don't have the year-to-date numbers in front of you, but the year-to-date numbers are 15.27% versus 12.64 for the index. So overall, the portfolio performance in this near term has been very strong. And again, a lot of that's due to, and Bob will touch on, the equity portfolio really starting to rebound with the value stocks.
Great.
Now, the one thing I like, again, I was talking earlier, when I spoke of the most recent year-to-date performance, that was actually through 1/20/2021. So again, your year-to-date performance from 6/30 through 1/20/2021 is 15.27% versus 12.64%. Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, certainly that's the way we want to see that continue to trend. Does anybody have any questions on the performance with the overall performance?
Any comments?
All right.
Okay, Bob, I guess it's Bob's turn.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to finish up real quick on the fixed income.
Sure.
Hey, on the fixed income for the quarter, it was 0.44% versus 0.42%. So we outpaced the index, and we also outpaced the index for the 1-year period. On the fixed income side, there's a little bit of concern as interest rates are starting to move higher. I was talking earlier about the 10-year Treasury. As such, our portfolio managers are taking a slightly conservative approach on duration. So they're just shortening the duration of the portfolio just a little bit to help protect the portfolio. And we continue to find value in the selection and the allocation of the bond portfolio. We reduced our credit exposure. That was a place where we added a lot of value this past year. We're reducing the exposure moving into 2021 because we feel it's overpriced. So we're making some minor tweaks to the fixed income portfolio, but feel confident in the direction we're headed. At that, if there are no questions, then I will pass it off to Bob.
Now it's your turn, Bob.
There you go.
All right, perfect. And just to kind of, go back and some of the change, we did make a bunch of changes this past year. I think one of some of the bigger things we did was we were very active on an asset allocation calls. Starting, 12 months ago, we actually started reducing our equity position. Not that we saw COVID or anything, but just kind of on, market values are what I would consider to be high, maybe not excessive, but there are, it's gotten to the point where it's gotten very thin, even going into last year, where there was a number of large cap growth names that were what I consider to be, excessively valued. We do look for valuation first. If you look at our portfolio, it's traditionally, and it still is, that, we're at, our portfolio trades at 19.5 times earnings, whereas the general market's at 22.5 for 2021 earnings, and slightly better growth forecast, 10.9 versus 9.5 for the market. So what we don't do is we don't go out and chase growth stocks that are going to grow. It doesn't matter what the valuation is. And, that's hurt our performance from a relative perspective for the last, last 3 to 5 years, even into 7 years. But it's started to turn around this year. I think that the fourth quarter and into this year, obviously our year-to-date, fiscal year-to-date, really has been led from really that rotation away from some stocks that we consider to be overvalued. The market's starting to realize that. This portfolio includes some small cap stocks that have that area of the market has been slightly it's been ignored. I mean, there's some opportunity there, but investors really just wanted to chase the momentum and the large cap names. So, we did move away from the market, started reducing our position. And then, after the crisis hit, in the COVID issues came along, we added back into the portfolio some equity. We went back to somewhat of an equal weight, maybe a slightly overweight to the benchmark weight in March, which turned out to be a very good call, and continued to do well. In December, we did move back the portfolio to the target is a 50% equity, 50% fixed allocation. So we moved back closer to that in December. There's a couple different sides of the coin that we're looking at. Not sure which way it goes, and talking about my opinion on the K-shaped recovery is where we're at, where and just a quick definition is there's a lot of people working from home doing better. They have more discretionary income. They're doing very well. And on the other end of it are those that the unemployed, who restaurant workers, etc. And my opinion is that a lot of the people that are doing better are going to stay there. So that part of the recovery is going to probably flatten out. But those that have done weak with the stimulus and, once we get through the vaccines are very important for the U.S. economy to do well. Those people will start doing better. So we're going to see that bottom part of the economy starting to pick up. So, we really expect for, GDP growth to be pretty good this year, pretty good, meaning 3 to 4%. My biggest concern is actually inflation. We're going to see a really pretty big, once we start lapping some of the COVID stuff, some of the price deterioration that we saw, we're probably going to see a pretty good pickup in inflation on a year-over-year basis. Now, how long that lasts is debatable. One of the things that is showing that the economy is being healthy is we've started to see commodity prices come back. We've seen oil prices come back up. Steel prices are actually close to where they were at in the highs of 2008. So starting from an industrial standpoint, consumer discretionary, those sectors are really going to benefit from people spending money in the economy. As interest rates go up, financials will start doing better. Profitability of banks will start doing well. So, we're seeing that area of the market starting to turn around. I think that's one of the reasons why, you've got some turnover in the market of which stocks are leading the market. But overall, we really continue to look for the market to reward investors, not at the same, 20 or 30% clip, but that our expectations are more of a 5 or 6% equity returns. And on the fixed income side, it's going to be very difficult to get that 1 or 2%. So equities should do very well, but we really kind of a little muted on the number of how well they do. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
Very good. Jeff, Charlie, or Tyler, do you have any questions regarding this report?
None for me.
None for me.
It sounds like things could have been a lot worse considering how volatile the market was, and I think we're pretty fortunate how we came out.
Absolutely. If we put ourselves back in March or April of this past year and then fast forward to where we are now, I think you couldn't be anything but pleased with the results and then the outperformance in the portfolios themselves, which is certainly a positive.
Well, I'm sure looking for this year to really kind of be a booster year. I'm just hoping that there's some stability that comes into the market and we can move forward.
Yeah. So out of the gates, it's a strong start. You know, up the portfolio is up 2.37% this year, meaning from January 1st. So we're coming out of the gate strong. We'll see how it goes as the COVID-19 crisis unfolds. Very good.
I'll entertain a motion that we accept this report by our consultant CSM. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Ayes carry.
All right.
Let's talk about approval of invoices if we can. Why don't Debbie, if you probably have a handle on those, and if you want to lead us through those.
Yeah, I can lead you through those. I didn't know, do you want CS McKee to continue through the meeting, or would you like them to exit now?
They can continue. They can do whatever they'd like to do. It's not
you know
going to be that exciting, folks, so it's up to
you. Would love to stay, but we will jump off at this point. And both Bob and I would say we certainly look forward to the day where we can get together again in person to visit with you and present in person. But we certainly appreciate your business, and we thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, folks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a GRS invoice, right? Is that the one we want to start with?
Okay, we got actually we got several invoices that came. We have an invoice for GRS for their consulting services for the period October 1st through December 31st, 2000.
What is it? What is it? They do an actuarial for us. What else do they do for us?
This one was, there was a $350 calculation on a retirement. And then they updated our joint survivor factors. At the last meeting, we had a conference call with them. So that's what part of that fee is. And then the other is the gas fee actuarial valuation. And I went through and checked all the numbers, and they are correct. So the total for this invoice is $12,850.
Could you, Debbie, could you get me a copy of those actuarial results, valuation results?
Sure.
Please. All right. Any discussion on this invoice? I'll entertain a motion that we approve.
I'll make the motion.
No, second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Okay.
And we have two invoices from BB&T. We got the first invoice earlier this week, a few days ago, and it was for the last period of the year. Well, we never got the invoice for the third period. So I called them today and they sent me the invoice, and I got it just before the meeting. So the total of the two invoices is $15,770.49.
And that's to administer the fund?
They take care of the financial or banking accounts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is this pretty standard?
Yes.
Any questions about this invoice? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made, second.
No, second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Very good, thank you. Next,
And the next invoice is from Dinsmore. They're the attorney that we had reached out to for the voting procedures, to look over that. So their invoice is for $2,275, and that is through November 30th.
I just have a couple questions since I'm new at this. Tell me about why we did that. Who is our legal advisor on the pension board? Who's our attorney?
Well, our attorney is Ryan.
Okay. And so my question is, we contracted with Dinsmore to do this, and what did this represent?
I'll let one of the board members go into this.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in. So there was a question raised as to the appropriateness of the voting procedures that the board has used since 1949, and a new process was proposed. So the board thought it'd be best to get an independent look at the process and how it should proceed forward. So that's how that came about.
And so the results, tell me what your view is in terms of the product that we got from Dinsmore.
The product itself looks like it's appropriate. I thought it looks like Jill and her team did a good job looking at the law.
Mr. Symington, being our legal advisor, give me our in-house legal view on this.
Sure, Kim. And this is, I mean, the main issue here is does the appointment process need to follow the prescribed process in state code? And I had advised the board about that before at Emily's request. And so, yeah, the Dinsmore opinion confirms that. There are some other recommendations about what they would suggest either city council or someone else do, but really the board's role is not in either adopting regulations or in appointing board members. So I think that issue is resolved as far as the board is concerned.
So the current state, as we all understand it, so we're all on the same page, because I'm coming into this fairly new. What is the process then? What did we find out the process is?
Oh yeah, sorry about that, Kim. So the process is that the city manager appoints members of the board, and they are confirmed by a majority of the members of the fund.
We're all on. Is that accepted by all, or is there still some question about that?
Well, the only question was there was a process proposed whereby if a member did not vote, that would count as an affirmative vote.
I see.
Ms. Rice's opinion was that's a concern to her, that it should be actually an affirmative vote for consent.
Okay. So the process is not under question any longer. It's how we count votes and how we generate votes from the membership. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I'm not sure I'm in a position. I have been in this position many times over the years. It's been very seldom that I have authorized going outside of our existing legal counsel to try to get clarification. So I'm not sure I'm in a position to vote on that today myself, but I would entertain a motion to approve, and I'm going to not vote on this.
I'd make that motion.
Second?
Jeff, what are we making a motion on? I don't want to make a motion to approve that it's not clarified that an absent ballot counts as a yes vote.
No, we're approving the invoice.
The invoice.
Okay.
Okay. Let me clarify. What we're doing is we're approving the invoice for Dinsmore in the amount of $2,275. And that's what the motion is. Is there a second?
You're a second. Charlie just second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Nay. All righty. Very good. Yeah, are there any other invoices, Debbie?
No, that's all.
Let's talk about refunds to contributions.
Okay, we have two refunds. One is for Sean May in the amount of $3,900.89. And his is a direct payment. Now this one is for Jonathan Strang, and his is for $138.83. His is a rollover. He provided the bank, but did not provide any account information. So I talked to the city and they're not real comfortable sending a check to him. They're concerned about the taxes not being taken out since it's a rollover. So I'm not sure how the board would like to proceed with that. If they want to do just a direct payment to him, or if you want me to try to contact them and find his account number to do a rollover.
So the cities, I assume Lori is concerned about taxes not having been taken out of this amount.
Yes.
What are the tax implications?
I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of taxes are taken out from that.
I'd certainly like to see make sure that the amount that's rebated is addresses the tax issue.
Okay. Yeah, if we cut a check, they would take the taxes out if we cut the check.
Okay.
But they said they would be okay doing the rollover if the board had something in writing saying that it was okay to do the rollover. And the amount was $138.83. So, I mean, it's the board's decision on what they would want to do, but this is the first time we've ever had a application with no account number.
I see. Any thoughts on this? Some of you more experienced board members?
He has signed a form asking that it be rolled over. I don't see an issue with approving that, but yeah, we'd still need to get his account information so that we follow his wishes.
Okay.
So I can try to track him down and do that if you'd like.
Why don't we do that? Can we approve contingent on Debbie doing her legwork?
I think that works.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion that we approve these two refunds.
I'll make that motion.
Motion and a second.
Okay, the next item is a retirement. It is for Clifton Gill. He chose Joynton 50% Survivor for a monthly payment of $3,000.66.
I'll entertain a motion we approve and then have discussion on it.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, second.
No.
Now, further discussion. Please describe how this comes about, and just for my benefit.
The employee fills out an application submitted to the finance department. The finance department sends it to GRS to determine the calculations, and then that is forward to the back to the city for the employee to fill out which choice they would like. There's 3 options available, and then they sign off on that, and we process the payment. Or the board approves it for processing the payment.
Okay. All right. Anything from our legal counsel on this one? We in good shape?
Yeah, Kim, you are.
Okay, good. All in favor of approving this this transaction, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Let's, any other, anything with independent legal counsel? Do we need to talk more about election? We had a discussion about that. Do we need any further discussion on number 7? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move forward. Is there any other business to be brought before the pension board? Anything that we need to address? We're trying to hold these monthly, as I understand, right? So that we can expedite some of the business that comes before us from time to time. Is that still okay with members, with our board members?
Mhm.
Cool. That's what we'll do. And maybe one of these days we can do it in person. Wouldn't that be a novel idea?
It would.
Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, I would entertain a motion that that we adjourn the meeting then at this point.
So what do I do for agenda for the voting procedure next time, since we're down a member right now?
So we need to fill a position. Is that what you're saying,
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
So once again, Mr. Symington, the process is what? Just kind of line that out for us so that we're all
Sure.
talking the same thing.
The process is that you will select somebody to appoint to the board, and then seek approval of the members of the fund, who are all or most employees of the city and the utility board. Now, that's not something that needs to be put on the board's future agenda or agendas. If there's a process that's actually written down and approved, that's a city council obligation. It's not an obligation of the board. And I think honestly, most pension boards don't need one, but yeah, we can certainly address that.
I'll tell you, between now and our next meeting, I would like to get the names of individuals who are either nominated or would like to serve. I think it's important that, let me just say this, that some of you don't know me very well, but I take this obligation extremely seriously. I mean, when we're talking about the retirement and future livelihood of our employees, I take it extremely seriously. And so I take the thought of who represents our members very seriously also. So I'd like to get names of individuals that might be interested in applying. I'd certainly love to get some involvement from folks that understand pensions and understand retirement issues and investments and things like that. But if you happen, and you board members or anybody else, you have individuals that would like to serve and would like to submit their names, we can do that. And I'd like to take care of this by the time we meet next. Does that sound okay to the board, so we don't let it linger on?
Yep.
So do
Very good.
you want the employees to email you, or do you want the employees to email me and for me to get?
If you would have them email me, and I will keep a list there so that I can kind of be aware of what's going on, and I would appreciate it, Debbie.
Well, I have a few people that emailed a couple months ago when we started this process.
Uh-huh.
Can I just forward you those emails, or do you want?
That would be great.
Okay.
No, that would be perfect, and then we'll go from there.
Kim, I also have some folks, I'm not sure if those are the same folks that emailed Beverly, but I can copy you on forward those emails as well and copy Beverly so she sees those.
Very good, Emily. Thank you. All right, folks. Thank you. Does that answer your question, Debbie?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Don't act so excited about it. Jeez, Louise.
Get this mask off, take it outside.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey, folks, thank you for participating in this, my first meeting with you. I hope it didn't go too poorly.